Morgan Ashley Gale, summa cum laude, University Honors.
So I graduated from college. That's pretty cool. I made this graduation cap because graphic design is my passion. And today I'll be showing you my graphic design portfolio that I graduated with back in May because I can't do anything on time. So I guess let's just get right into it. So before I dive into my print portfolio, I'd like to point out that I have a portfolio website you can go check out right now. You can look at and read about these projects at your own pace and also see a couple other projects that I didn't put in this book. For example, I do some casual photography, so if you wanted to look through my photographs, here you can do that. Also, if you want to stay up to date with new work that I'm making as it comes out, you can follow me on Instagram, where you can see cool paintings like this that I'm really proud of but aren't in my graphic design portfolio. So this is the first page of the portfolio. It's just my logo, printed on 11x17 paper. Let's flip to the first project in here, which is a political campaign. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I really like activism and politics in general, so I wanted to kickstart the whole book with the thing I was most interested in, which also happens to be the project that I'm proudest of. This was a logo and branding system that we designed for Mike Osbacher, who is running for mayor of Bowling Green this year, actually. The team was myself and two of my classmates, and together we created an identity system that conveyed his bold and progressive attitude without alienating his anticipated voter base of family-oriented citizens over the age of 30. So we came up with a look that used shades of blue to convey dependability and safety, used recognizable Bowling Green imagery, but also used loud and large type treatments to catch attention and signify that he was a more progressive candidate. Once we created the whole look and feel, we put together a brand standards manual that showed how to apply the logo and branding to different things like campaign letters, thank you notes, yard signs. These signs actually got produced. If you drive around town, you'll see them, which is really exciting. So this next project is the Find Your Fit guide. I did a semester-long internship, which then turned into a part-time job at BG Falcon Media, which is the design department at BGSU. I was mainly in charge of working with Residence Life, and for this project, Residence Life needed a housing selection guide for incoming freshmen, but they wanted it to stand out from other pieces of mail sent by the university. And if you don't go to BGSU, you don't know how boring their branding is, but it's very boring. It all looks exactly the same. It uses boxes and the same typeface and the same orange and brown. So when I got creative control over this project, I wanted to expand that color palette. Like, I wanted to use the elements that the school was already using, but see how much I could bend the rules to create something new. So what I came up with was this series of illustrations. I created a series of characters to represent BGSU's diverse student body, and also to be relatable and help guide the reader through the book. It's just got a lot of infographics, a whole map I designed, layouts of the rooms, all kinds of stuff like that. Once I did that project, they wanted me to do a whole bunch of stuff for them. I made some new illustrations of the school's mascots, Freddie and Frida, created a bunch of icons. This one flyer about on-campus housing is a good example of the kinds of illustrations I made. Other than these illustrations and posters, I also worked on Key Magazine. Key Magazine is BGSU's student-led publication. It features the work of student journalists, and it's produced through BG Falcon Media once a semester. I created the layouts for several articles in both the winter 2018 and spring 2019 issues. The next project in here is the branding I did for ArtsX. Well, I say it was a whole team. We actually won a big award for this. We won a Bronze Student Addy. If you're not familiar, the Addy Awards are like advertising awards. ArtsX is short for Arts Extravaganza, and it's BGSU's annual celebration of the arts. And our team had to create a theme and visual assets to complement the headlining act, which was Madcap Puppet Theater Productions. And what they do is they have really large, like, fantastical puppets. So we utilize elements of physical construction like wood to design and build a series of environments where these puppet characters might live. We used a CNC machine to actually cut these out of wood and arrange them into a giant letter X. We had less than one semester to pull this together. We had a couple months. I cannot stress enough how many hours we all put into this project. Oh my god. The next project in here is also an award winner. This got into BGSU's annual undergraduate art exhibition. And this was actually the first branding project I ever did in college. This is a rebrand for Grilled Cheese & Co., which is a real restaurant in Maryland, which I have never been to. This was a student project. It had nothing to do with the real location. Grilled Cheese & Co. is described as creative and spontaneous, so I wanted to make the logo more contemporary while still making it flexible enough to have some fun with, like with these patterns here. This was for a typography class, so the logo had to be type-based. Like visually it's a sandwich, but I used, type. After creating the logo and the letterhead set, we moved on to laying out menus. After making all the print stuff, the next year we had a class on interactive design. So the next part of this project was to create a website. I actually coded this website with HTML and CSS, so it actually works. And it's just one big scrolling website. The menu sticks on the side and you can just scroll down and see all the stuff. So that's that one. The next project is more of a personal thing that I did for a while. I created a series of bunny stickers called Rude Buns for my Etsy store. Each of these drawings I drew in Photoshop, and then I printed them on my home printer onto sticker paper and cut them out by hand and packaged them and shipped them to people who bought them through Etsy. That was a really fun experience, and I also made some business cards, but this business did not last very long, so in retrospect I probably shouldn't have printed a bunch of business cards, but I really wanted to include it in my portfolio because I think it's important to show like initiative and passion projects in your work. So since this was something I didn't have a class prompt for, I thought it showed a lot of my personality. I decided to include it. And then bouncing off of passion project, we move into my more political work. This is a series of posters I created for a design theory class. I think my other political work is stronger, but my teachers thought it was really good and they wanted me to include it. So this was a precursor to my thesis project, which is about crisis pregnancy centers, which I could make a whole video about, and I probably will. But I created this series of political posters to call attention to the deceptive practices of a place called Her Choice, which is a crisis pregnancy center that's across the street from campus. And they advertise free pregnancy tests to students, and they have advertising like in the actual BGSU Health Center, but they are a religious organization. They're anti-abortion. It's very intentional that they're hiding their actual opinions. It's not always advisable to have your political opinions in your portfolio, obviously, and the decision about whether or not to include this was something I agonized over for a while. But I think that my political work is really integral to my brand and who I am as a person. And also when I'm talking to prospective employers, I try to frame this as like, this is the work and the research I did. Let's talk about the technical aspects of this and not my political opinions about it. Which again leads me into more political work, which is my thesis project. At my school, in order to get a BFA in graphic design, which is a Bachelor's of Fine Arts, you have to complete a thesis project. And it's like a 1.5 year long process. It's supposed to be like a self-directed project, picking something that you're really passionate about and creating some sort of like design solution or exploration of that topic. My thesis is called False Advertising, a look at crisis pregnancy centers. I looked into how they present themselves as a pro-choice option, while all the other stuff they do, they don't really advertise so much. And I consider this to be really deceptive advertising, which is something that I found really relevant to my major because graphic design is a big part of advertising. My project ended up being making a website and booklet to compile all of the information in like an easily digestible format so people could like read about it and understand it, and to kind of just generally raise community awareness of the issue. I got really stuck about what I could actually achieve with the amount of funding and time that I had, and also it's hard to take action about this because most people don't understand what a crisis pregnancy center is. So in that aspect, my thesis was more about the research part of it, and I presented at the Northwest Ohio Undergraduate Symposium for Research and Scholarship, which is a fancy way of saying I got into a research conference and talked to people about it. If you want to read my research, the booklet I created is actually on my portfolio website, so you can go flip through that. But yeah, that's the last project in my portfolio. Also worth mentioning is that we spent the last semester of school creating a personal identity system. So here are some business cards and some cute little stickers with my new logo on them. I'm sorry I disappeared off the face of the earth for 6 months because I had a senior thesis, and then when I graduated I really just wanted to take a break because I never have to go to school again. Might I go to grad school? Who knows? But I wanted to just kick back for a while and enjoy my summer. But now I'm back, and I hope I'll be making more videos soon. And if you would like to support those videos, I have a Patreon. For as low as $2 a month, you can fund this. Talk to me in the comments if you're in college or you graduated from college or you haven't gone to college or whatever, because school's back in session, baby. And I don't have to go. That's so weird. It's just really weird. I will talk to you later. Interestingly, I've been doing this since 2011 and I graduated from school and I still don't know how to end a video. So that's where we're at.